All right, I'd like to call to order the Planning Commission for the Town of East Troy for the month of December. I'd like the record to show that all the commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Seeley, and Commissioner Russell is sitting in for Commissioner Seeley. How we operate is on a split meeting format. This is our informational meeting, where what we'll do is we'll have the applicant come up, give us a little description of what they're looking for. We'll have questions from the commissioners to the applicant. Then we'll have the applicant sit down, a small discussion amongst commissioners. Then we'll open up to the audience if anybody in the audience would like to speak in favor of the proposal, then against the proposal, and then if necessary, a short rebuttal from the applicant. After that, at that time, we adjourn and we go and do our research for 2 weeks, come back 2 weeks from today and make our decision. That being said, that's not by ordinance. So if it is a straightforward thing that we feel we can act on tonight, we will do so. All right, the first item on the agenda is to review and approve the Plan Commission minutes from November 20th. Anybody have any issue with our short but sweet meeting on the 20th? I'd take a motion
to approve the minutes from November 20th, 2024 Planning Commission minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a setback variance. Total accessory structure request at N9110 Ash Street, parcel PMR 00102E. Dennis and Lori Gazek. Sorry if I butchered it.
That's okay.
Come on up.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for hearing me tonight, Nat. And the thing I'm looking at doing is my existing garage, the previous owner that built the garage who I bought my property from, he took a lot of hand-me-down or scraps from job sites and stuff to build that garage that's there. It's sitting, the sill plate's sitting right on the concrete with the walls. Every time I get rain, it sucks right into the walls. So eventually I have to tear that garage out or it's gonna fall down and that. So I do a lot of community service in our subdivision with senior citizens. I plow driveways for seniors in my subdivision. I cut grass. I repair stuff for seniors and stuff in my subdivision and that. And I got equipment. I have a 2-car garage now, and the county says that I have a 30 by 24 garage, and it's actually 24 by 24. It's not 30. And I want to go 24 by 40, where I can put a bay on there to keep my equipment in that I use to help the senior citizens and everything in my neighborhood. I was an active firefighter in East Troy for 30 years, and that I love the community and that, and I just hope I can get the approval for the garage. It's not going to be a gawky looking garage. It's going to be a nice looking garage, and I'm just increasing the basis of everybody's uptick in their neighborhood, throughout the neighborhood. They're increasing and making it better.
So just so I can clarify, the variance you're looking for is just this corner where it goes down to 7 feet,
Yes, sir.
whereas your existing garage is 14'7". I believe, is 10 a requirement off? Sorry.
I think the county didn't specify in their letter. Requires 25 feet from the right of way, 25 feet from the rear lot line.
Yeah.
It's the rear lot line's a problem, isn't it?
Is it I guess we're just clarifying, what are you asking for? The variance to the roadway or to the, I guess.
I believe it's the county says the roadway. Because the way he made it, Darren made it sound when I met with Darren, was the lot line on the back. He had 3 feet and he said he's good with that. But it's the east corner that he's not good with. And my neighbor's garage right across the street from me is 5 feet from the road. My garage would be 17 to 18 feet, I believe it is, from the road.
I think you need a variance for I think you're requesting a variance for both, because he's clarifying in his letter that it's 25 feet from the right of way and 25 feet from the rear lot line. And what you propose is 7 feet from the street yard and 3 feet from the rear lot line. So he's referencing both.
Okay, I'm new to this, sir.
Yeah, but excuse me, the existing garage is much closer to the road than that already, right?
No, it's a little bit farther away.
14.7.
Yeah.
14.7.
Right, but it's not 25,
Yeah, it's already, right, it doesn't,
right?
It's non-conforming in either instance.
Right.
Although from the right of way, isn't that from the center of the road, or am I wrong on that?
they've measured it 14.7 current and then proposed is 7 feet.
Correct.
And then 3 or 3.1, depending on the corner of the garage, to 3.
And the size of the garage you want to build is,
It will be 24
By 40.
by 40.
so that's 960. And he cites, Darren cites in his letter that you're requesting an 1,110 square foot. I think he might go all the way to the edge of the eaves or
I
something like
think
that.
he is on that, sir.
I mean, the new garage you're proposing is only 52 square feet bigger than the old garage.
Yeah,
according to this.
exactly.
So, and it's generally in the same location.
My only question, Dennis, is, and I'm not your civil engineer, is there any reason why you couldn't push that, I guess, parallel to Miramar Road to get a little bit farther off the property line and to get a little bit farther off the road?
With Darren's thing already, we took, because he said I only had clearance for 1 shed. And when I bought the property, there was 3 sheds on the property. So I said, okay. So I tore 1 shed down already. The second shed I'm tearing down, I'm using for storage right now. And that's coming down next spring. And the third shed is over. So we moved the whole basis of the platform of the garage inside the yard more 4 feet. From,
But to accommodate getting bigger as well.
yes, yes.
Right. I guess I'm just looking at the proposed, and it looks like it could maybe go closer diagonally. I mean, I don't think you're gonna get 25 and 25 by any means, but I don't know. Because in the proposed where you got your new shown, it's just the 1 shed, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we couldn't take it and just move it closer to your yard, I guess, or, Guess
It
that's
is
all.
going more into the yard,
yeah.
Well, because it's larger.
4 feet. No, it was originally gonna be on its footprint and then go, I think it was 50 or 12 feet over into the other lot, because I got 2 lots there. My property is 2 lots, and I
Okay.
was gonna go with that triangle, because I'm on a triangle
Right.
corner there,
Mhm.
pie slice, and that's what Darren says, that's our major problem with the triangle. And that, but
If you, I think what Joel was asking is like, what if you were to move the proposed garage north a little bit off of Miramar Drive?
North and even a little
and
bit
that's what I
west,
figured, 4 feet already going in.
but could you move it more than even
4
what's
feet?
proposed here?
Not without doing a lot of,
No, I can't be,
groundwork.
no,
Oh,
I
it
can't.
goes uphill there?
No,
or-
I can't, because there's, from old school when it was Miramar, when they originally built it, the retaining concrete walls with the big granite stone and everything in, it's all poured concrete. That whole corners of my yard in the back sits on granite rock piled up. If I come in more, then when they start disturbing that, and I don't know if that's something I should be doing.
That's like a old retaining wall of some sort, or?
Very old school, yeah. Very old school.
This doesn't show on the survey, that's all.
It reads concrete wall.
Right there, if you look really close on the north, or proposed.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So what you had planned would not disturb that. It kind of follows.
See, that's why I checked the property line where that starts, and that allowed me to come in 4 feet to the north.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, so the letter says that, the letter that you wrote, the commission says that you're gonna eliminate 2 sheds,
Yes, sir.
but yet the survey says you're gonna you're keeping one of the sheds.
She had 3.
You have
We had 3.
Okay, so 2 go away, 1
Yeah.
stays.
Yes,
So you're gonna have technically two accessory structures.
That's a mom shed.
A mom shed, a she shed.
Oh,
It's a
you don't
she
mess,
shed.
you don't mess with mom.
Yeah.
I
I
was-
don't know if that'll hold up at the county, but duly noted.
Well, no, it's just, I mean.
Darren agreed, he laughed too.
But
he
I
might
think you
be
can have
at-
a shed and a garage. Yeah, it's a detached garage. Yeah,
Oh, so as long as the shed is below a certain size, it doesn't count?
right.
Okay.
See, and Darren called me about the shed because he said that when I go out there next week, I have to go to the county next Wednesday. I have to give him $50 for that shed movement and that. And he said that his paperwork shows from the survey, it's a 10 by 15. And I said, no, it's 10 by 14. And it was an existing shed that was here. I'm just moving it over under your orders,
Sure,
moving it over more out of the way.
sure.
Sorry, so part of what you've drawn here, that shed's moved, that one currently is the one that's closest to the garage, so your plan would be to move that up to where those other two are.
Yes, sir.
Other one, because you're moving
Yeah.
one next year.
Two are, yeah, one's gone already, and there'll be one more torn down come spring. Because all of us got kids with, they store their stuff at our house. And I got my kids' stuff in storage and stuff, and I want them to take it home with them.
Good luck.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Just quick, just my take on it. The side yard, it's already around 3 feet. He is getting closer to the road. I'm real familiar with this because it's about 2 doors from me. So there are plenty of garages that close to the road. I'm not saying we should continue to make it worse. He's at 14.7. If we squeezed him back to 14.7, he wouldn't really have a bigger garage at all. Those are just my thoughts. Nothing definitive, but I don't know if that helps or hinders. Or any other comments or discussion?
Yeah.
I think, like, to the letter of the zoning code, that a lot of these setbacks and things speak to a modern standard lot. So all these lots in the subdivision, they predate zoning. They're all substandard lots. So I think, you know, we have to keep that.
And I kind of think of it almost as shoreline averaging, sort of, with garages to roads,
Yeah.
sort of, you know.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, I don't know if you could build a conventional home in a conventional garage to 2024, you know, building code standards on these lots.
Your buildable square footage would be
Yeah.
tiny in the middle of the triangle.
So then, to me, I look at, you know, consistency with the neighborhood and then safety concerns. So, you know, is it so close to the road that it becomes a hazard, or is it so close to a neighbor's lot that you cannot maintain the structure? I think we had something came before us a couple of years back where it was 18 inches off of the lot line. So I don't know how you
That was
repair
on
a gutter on your own property. So that's just kind of how I look at it. I was thinking the same thing too, like, well, you know, you're going from 14 to 7 feet, but if there is that old retaining wall back there, and now to maintain a 14-foot setback, say, to that road, well, now you're disturbing the retaining wall, and, you know, that's the ball of wax in and of itself.
Sure. John, did you have anything?
No, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Any other discussion amongst commissioners? All right. Would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of the proposal? Would anybody like to speak against the proposal? Okay. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I don't know that 2 weeks is going to change anything, you know, so.
I just think we need to make sure we vote on all the variances so that he doesn't get you caught up again. And I see it's setback, it's square footage, and are we sure that it's okay to have a garage in the shed?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You said the shed is 10 by 14.
14.
And it's an existing shed is
Yeah.
why I'm assuming
Okay.
that's why, you know, if Darren's letting him move it,
Right.
you know,
Got it.
If that shed would ever come down, what?
then he could only build 10 by 10 back.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So John, I mean, if you wanted to make a motion, I think it's side yard,
Yeah.
road,
Yeah.
and footage.
Yeah, I make a motion that we allow the variance for the Gazax at PMR 00102E for a setback variance and size of the garage.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Have a nice holiday.
You too. Next item on the agenda is a setback variance at N9139 South Shore Lane, PET, parcel number PET 9000021B, Sass, Norman Sass, and Richard Parsons, Champion Window.
Right, right. We're asking for the variance so that we can screen in our deck, which would help protect my wife, my mother-in-law, and my 7-year-old granddaughter from bee stings. It's an issue for them. They both must be familiar because all three of them have an issue with the bee. And 7-year-old, she's there and she sees a bee, she's running in the house and she will not come out. And so we're trying to allow us to live on that deck without any issues with the bees as far as that goes. The variance, we have 12 and a half feet now instead of 15. The area that's in question, I guess, is tree lined, so we wouldn't use that property anyways over there for anything. And there's a letter in the paperwork from the neighbor where we'd be getting actually the variance from his lot, and he has no objection whatsoever.
Mhm.
And there should be letters from a couple other neighbors that have no objection to the project.
And so this is a new deck, nothing's there now? You're not
There's
just
a
enclosing it?
deck there presently, and it's not, from what I found out, they didn't need a permit because it wasn't covered. So I'm finding out now the deck is covered, we have to get a variance from you folks, and then I'll go to Walworth County next month to their meeting.
So it's an
it's the
existing
same-
deck,
it's
and
the
they want to
same-
put a
same
screen
footprint.
porch on the
It's an existing deck that we're enclosing
No, they're gonna tear the old deck down, but put a new one up
in the same footprint.
in the same place.
Right.
Same
They-
footprint.
Understood.
The ones that putting up the new screen and deck says this support under this deck would not support the issue by having a roof
They're
and
putting
things.
piers.
So
piers
Sure.
on
they're
it.
gonna put in some new footing underneath to make sure it supports well properly as far as that goes.
But basically, you're not going any closer to your neighbor.
No,
It's.
Yeah, it's not an addition. I mean, it's a covered, it's a screen.
like I say, the neighbor has no
But the
issue with it.
existing structure was too close, or is too close.
Right.
We're not going any closer.
Right, it's been there a long time.
It's a
I don't know when it was built. We've been in the house, 12, 14 years? Something like that, and it was there already.
Sure. It's a
So the house,
conventional deck.
house itself was built about 24 years ago, so when the deck went up, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's an open, it's a
But
conventional
you're
wood deck.
you plan to replace it with another conventional deck?
Yeah. Right, because to put the roof on it, this deck, they said will not support it.
Yep.
So they need to put a new deck and new support underneath so it will hold
Sure.
the side walls, which is basically only gonna be screen, and then of course a roof.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you. Just, again, quick discussion, as far as I'm concerned, no, the neighbors are in favor of it and it's not getting any.
Yeah.
It's not making the setback smaller.
Yeah, all three of the neighbors that would have an objection, the two across the road wrote
Right,
letters
and
to
the immediate
support, and the
one-
one to the,
You know, John's, whose immediate lot is there, he has no objection either, and he put I think, a long letter in the file.
Sure. All right, any other discussion amongst commissioners? All right, thanks. I would open it up to the audience. Would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of the proposal? Would anybody like to speak against the proposal? This to me is something I think we could act on tonight as well.
Just one other point of discussion.
Absolutely, sir.
Has the county, does anyone recall, has the county weighed in on this sort of thing? Do they view this as a deck or do they view this as an extension of this? the principal
Well, so
structure?
even though it's a deck, it still has to abide by the setbacks, even though it's not structure. I guess that, are you kind of asking, like, does this now change it to a structure versus a deck?
Mhm.
I guess I don't know the answer to that.
I mean,
Um,
from a practical standpoint, if the neighbors are okay, you look at the, it doesn't really affect the viewing triangle.
Yep,
But I just don't know, from a technical standpoint, how the county views these.
yeah.
Yeah, I
You have some
still,
insight?
No, no.
I still don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, and I think-
I think we need to word our variance approval accordingly, because Darren refers to it as a sunroom. You know,
Sure.
'cause
I mean, we're just looking at the side yard setback variance. You know,
Right.
which, again, it's already there. And I guess if the county views it as a structure and changes something, I guess that's kind of on.
I know the county's viewed, but a change from a deck to a patio or a patio to a deck, like that was viewed as a change in use.
Right. But it was just in the sense that it needed to be permitted and couldn't be in the 75-foot high water setback and all that stuff.
And you're aware of the fact that you've got to submit the impervious surface worksheet as,
Yeah, he's from the company.
he's got to fill that form out.
Anything else, Ben? Or
No.
anything from anybody else? Then, I mean, if everybody feels comfortable, I'd take a motion.
I think it's a reasonable request, and I feel that we should approve the conditional use,
It's a variance for
a
a
variance. Okay.
setback variance.
For a setback variance for parcel number PET 900021B.
So we have a motion to approve the variance variance for the setback as submitted. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. Next item on the agenda is a conditional use amendment. Yes? Okay. Sure. We are going to skip item 4 on the agenda as he is running a little bit behind schedule. And we're going to go to number 5, which is a rezone at W1602, W1606 County Road J, parcel number PA 181800001, Beulah Holdings. Chris, you want to tell us what you're looking for?
Good evening. My name is Chris Drepetoski and my
Hang on one
wife.
second.
Anna.
If you guys could just give us to continue. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Good evening. And my name is Chris Drepetoski and my wife Anna is with me as well tonight. This is a proposal for a change of the zoning in what was the old Double D's property to R1 from B3. It is, Ann and I have been looking at various properties here, and we want to move out of the city and Milwaukee and outward towards more quiet and can, build our retirement houses essentially there. So the request to rezone here is essentially this: the lot as it is set up today, in my view, because it's been there for 2 years and there's nobody that's been able to come with a B3 use. I'm not sure that the lake can support a B3 use on that property. It was a restaurant before. I don't think that that's viable here. And the lot itself will require quite a bit of work because we're gonna have to tear up a lot of asphalt and go from impervious surfaces there to what we want to do is put a prairie restoration around our house so that it'll blend into the wetlands around the area, and that the house then will, the idea of the reason that the house elevations are the way they are is so that it will also, the house will blend into the yard like a prairie style house is designed to do. And so our proposal is to adopt this rezone. We realize that there are very few B3 areas in the lakefront zoning for that type around the lake. However, I just think that the usage in that particular neighborhood, especially with the wetland right next door to it, on one side and residential all the way around, it makes more sense to have it all be one singular zoning area. As you can see from the submission, the footprint of where the house will be is in part where the existing duplex is, and that existing duplex, we have a tenant in it currently. There's constant problem. I've been out there several times and had to kick road crews out of the park. I mean, people just, they park there like they own it, and it's just so.
Especially in this
It
area.
was my view that the best thing to do with respect to this particular property to keep it during the wintertime so that we didn't have those issues was to keep the tenant there through the winter and then go through the zoning process, tear down the structure, and then do construction in the spring. The other idea is, the other, main idea in this, as you can see from the drawings that Warren Hanson has prepared here, is that where the Double D's restaurant wasn't burned down, they actually took the actual the mound and cut it off. And the idea is to restore that mound to its original size and shape, so that it conforms with the land, which is important from a standpoint of being able to accomplish what we want to accomplish with the landscaping that we want to work with the DNR to do.
Is this all one tax key, one parcel? For some reason, I feel like it's not.
It's all one tax key.
Okay.
There are 3 parcels there. The Lake Management District has the parcel that's directly behind it. There's an easement that goes back to that. The Lake Management District owns the lake frontage, which we
Right.
have. We have a 30-foot easement to, and also the ability to lease that space, and that lease is going to change because now that lease allows things like temporary boat moorings up to 6 during the day, and allows things like selling gasoline there, which are, I can understand if it was a commercial property, but that makes no sense.
You're not
this
selling
way.
gas out of your house?
No, and I don't want to. Okay. And I also don't want people mooring their boats at my pier.
Understood.
If it's a
Understood.
neighbor or a friend coming to visit, it's one thing. I don't want people, one of the things that I've been working with the management district about is we need to figure out a way to stop people from using that area. And I've been working with the town or the county and the Lake Management District to figure out a way to repair that fence that's there to stop people from using that as a place to throw their canoes and other things into the lake, because that's also inconsistent with it. That shouldn't happen, but people do it. So part of this whole thing will be, there's an area beyond the road right away. The road right away is paved all the way into this property, but there's probably a 15 to 18 foot strip of what used to be an asphalt parking lot for Double D's there. That's also going to get torn out, because the last thing we want to do is have people parking right in front of our house. And that's so the one thing that I will say that's different in the way from the originally, because of where the dam burst height is, this is going to have to be a house that's built slab on grade, because if you put a basement in, it goes below the dam burst level, and it could do that. I mean, the county will let that happen, but the expense of doing that compared to the value of having that basement is just not worth it.
Sure.
But what will happen here is that if you've been by that property, you see there are those 3 big oak trees that are behind the house. And the driveway actually goes into a garage and the garage in this plan comes the same way. So that will this will be an attached garage, but it will drop down about 6 or 7 feet from the house structure there. And there'll be stairs up into the house, because first of all, it makes no sense to fill that. And second of all, then the the driveway doesn't get too steep. You just take the existing driveway and use it. So that's the idea behind all of this. It easily fits all the setbacks. It's actually 85 feet from the road right away, and it's 65 feet is what's required. So, and the view is actually better the further back you get away from the road. So that's the idea. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer whatever questions you have.
There's no impact to the easement for the Lake Management District?
No, because actually it'll be less use because it's only gonna be us. So the lake management easement is there, that's their right. They're gonna have it. And they should. And the one thing that I want to talk with them about is to make sure that I talked with one of the guys who drives who actually brings in and takes out the weed cutter. And he said there may be some issues in the back area, that they actually probably still use some of that parking lot to park their vehicle in there and to move it into the shed in the wintertime. And I have raised that issue with the chair of the Lake Management District because I want to work with them to make sure that we figure out a way to accommodate what they need to do and still keep the usage and not interfere too much with the property. And so if that means that we need to, swap some land or something or do some lot line adjustments to allow them to actually be able to do what they want to do, then I'm completely, that's not a problem for me. I really, our view is that we want to be good neighbors. We want to enjoy the lake, and I want to get away from my law office and come here and not have to deal with any of those types of issues and just be on the lake, get on my pontoon boat and go around. Now,
And the access easement, John, is shown on the drawing.
Yes, 20
Yeah.
feet.
Right. So
it's 20 feet all the way, actually, because of the drawing that Warren put here has got the existing roadway and the existing 20-foot easement. There's another easement that comes off a little bit at an angle because the wetland actually comes onto the land a little bit.
okay.
So the easement twists a little bit. That's not shown there.
Sure.
But it's currently not paved for use, but that also would continue to exist.
But obviously, by no means are you looking to squeeze them out. And
Absolutely.
Not that you could. Not that you
Absolutely.
could. But
No, I wouldn't, and I don't want to.
Right.
It may be that the Lake Management District, that we agree with the Lake Management. We're gonna talk to the Lake Management District about whether or not, just to make that area less accessible, that we put some kind of a gate that the Lake Management District and we can use to stop people from
Sure.
driving back into there.
Sure.
Because it's just, people are so used to doing it that you got to do something at least to break the cycle. And as soon as we're there for a while, I think that will
Sure.
take care of itself.
So you're asking for a zoning change from B3 to R1, is that it? Yeah.
That's correct.
But you're not asking for any variances from the R1?
No.
You'll conform to the R1 with respect to setbacks?
Yes, the home site fits perfectly within that.
Yeah.
And it just happens to be right at the top of the mound. So it's going to be, there's going to be work that needs to be done to raise the level of where double D's used to be, so that it's not a hole in the front yard.
Right.
But other than that, the lot sets up perfectly for a single family house.
What happens when people pull up and they want 2 beers and 4 hamburgers?
They're gonna have to go over to the dockside. They're gonna have to drive around the
they
lake.
just take one of those
I mean, they
canoes
put
that
their-
are laying there.
I think what I do
Paddle
is put up a sign on the old double D sign that says, if you want beers and a hamburger, go across the lake. Here's the draw map. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But, I think that people will, I'm more concerned about people parking their vehicles in the road right away and then trying to access the lake from there than I am people that there hasn't been a restaurant there for a couple of years, but people do. I mean, you can drive down there and we've been there for kind of frequently. We've talked to one of the local businesses about redoing the decking for the pier because it has 2 piers now, but we don't need 2 piers. We're going to take it down to 1, and we want to have the decking redone. And when we're there, we're constantly having to move people.
Sure.
I mean, they were literally, when they did the work that they just did on the dam, they staged all of their vehicles in the backyard there. And I was like, what are you guys doing here? And so we're staging. I said, well, why are you staging it in my yard? I'm not insured for this stuff. So, So, but I think as soon as we, as we get to the point where we take up the old parking area where it's just a driveway to the back area and a driveway to the house, as soon as the duplex comes down and the width of the area next to the roadway, that issue.
Because
will
nobody
take
else
care of
does it
itself.
at the houses on down the street.
The other house, there's
They don't
there's
just
no.
pull in their driveway and park it, grab their canoe and go across the street.
No, there, I mean,
So I'm
there's
sure
no place,
that'll
there's,
change.
there's no place to do it, and I think that will change.
I agree.
I do think that it's important and I've talked to the county about it, and I'm talking with the county and the Lake Management District, because actually the parcel that I own goes all the way to the edge of the road right away on the other side. So the current existing fence is in the road right away, as they all are along there. I mean, I think that the only property that actually has frontage that's not in the road right away is the parcel that we're on. And the county is right now considering, whether just repairing that fence is going to create an issue, because there's a EMS access there, so there would be a bigger gate there and then a smaller gate to walk into. But the idea is to put a 4-foot high fence in, which is what's allowed there, but to actually have it so that it's more solid, so it's blocked off, so people just don't go in there.
Any other questions for the applicant?
The site summary on your plan lists the existing residence, existing pub to be removed, and then existing residence and proposed pub.
Yeah, what happened and I saw that after we submitted this, because Warren actually, of the plan that was there for what was going to be the existing residence, this block that says site summary is just wrong. It's not correct. That was for when they were going to leave the duplex there and put the brand new restaurant in. And when he updated the rest of the drawings, he didn't update that. And I looked at it and I'm like, how did that happen? And he says, sorry. So he's like crossing things off, and I'm like, oh my God.
Enough said.
Okay.
I've dealt with Warren. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry.
No, that's what I figured. I wanted to be.
The house
To be clear,
house
you're-
site is essentially 62 by 61.
And you've included your house drawings.
And,
Yeah.
and I mean, what you're here for is the rezone. A lot of this is additional detail.
Yeah, and we'll have
Frankly,
to
the
get,
house could be completely different. What you're here is for the.
And it
rezone.
wouldn't matter to us.
Yeah.
the rezone is that, and I mean, obviously, when we go to get permits, that there's going to need to be different drawings, because the original plan that the builder thought would work there won't, because of the.
Right.
So we'll be meeting with an architect as soon as we're not going to wait for the county's approval, but as soon as if the town grants approval for this, then we'll be working with an architect to do those adjustments. So, because the idea is to try to get out here as soon as we can, so.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess the discussion for us is, do you see it as still continuing to be B3 or R1? As far as I'm concerned, everything else is R1. No, do we want to lose? And we already lost the restaurant. I tend to agree with the applicant where I don't know that nobody's clamoring to build a new one there now. As much as all of us as residents would love to have an option that's not dockside. The free market hasn't come up and built a new restaurant there.
Yeah.
R1 seems to fit in that neighborhood as far as I'm concerned, but that's my take. I don't know. I think he's going to build a beautiful house on what's now a dilapidated property.
R1 would be inconsistent with the long-term 2050 plan.
Correct. They would have to change that plan.
So can you,
Can I respond to that actually? Because I pulled the 2050 plan out. And the 2050 plan shows that area as R1 next to a conservancy area. On the plan that I can pull off the computer.
commercial?
Yeah, I mean, it shows that because that's the way it is, right?
Yeah, that's the way it is now.
See, the parcel is.
Way up,
is
way
up
up
there,
top
is
by
up
that yellow,
there. It's
yep.
that one little, I guess you can't see that when you're on the internet. That little red dot there is the only place that is. All the rest of it is R1.
Yeah, so in this case, the 2050 plan reflects the current zone.
Yes,
It's not visionary to make it that, it already is that.
right.
I'm sorry about that, because I couldn't see that on the internet, but it looks all like.
I mean, and-
So procedurally,
Procedurally, that's not on us. He has to go through that, changing the 2050 smart growth plan, or whatever it's called now. It wasn't 2035, but, and honestly, just about any zoning change, I'm pretty sure has to update that, and that's whatever, like once a year. Again, I don't know that it's necessarily, other than being aware that, if it was long-term ag or something like that, we wanted to change it to business or whatever. I mean, I think we have to be aware of it, but I don't know, this is not gospel. Our 2050 plan, to me, is not gospel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really, I'm torn in both directions. I mean, on one hand, it'd be nice to have another establishment on the lake, but to your point, you can't force somebody to buy the property and build a
And if
business.
somebody was interested in building a new one there, we would have the pitchforks and torches.
We already had that one time
Still,
before.
people say, no,
You're
no.
right.
As long as no
There'd
one's
be
gonna
more
be strumming their
controversy-
guitar
there'd
outside.
be more controversy over that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know that we have an obligation to maintain the
Correct,
current
right,
zoning.
right.
I mean, and then on the other hand, it'll preserve the nature of the lake, and
And he's doing this prairie style house with the topography of the land. I like everything that's here. Again, it's more selfishly, I'm like, oh, I'd really like to have, a bar and restaurant right there.
Yeah.
But again, 2 years and nobody's been like, ooh, pick me. So that's,
yeah, I don't disagree. I think I might be on an island here, but I think we should get some clarification around how this comports with the long-term
certainly.
use plan, because I think the county sent us some language on that, might have been last year, on how to navigate that.
I think they just have an annual meeting where they update it.
In September, I think.
Right.
Certain times, yeah.
So I
Once a year.
think we just have to make sure that.
I got no problem not acting on this tonight and getting clarification on the 2050 plan, for sure.
Yeah, did we get any sort of narrative from the county as we did on the other ones? Have you tried to go to the
I've
county?
talked with Kate and I've talked with Darren.
Yeah.
And Kate accepted the, and I turned in this, she accepted the rezoning.
The application.
And what the county has basically said is if the town is okay with this change, it's gonna sail right through the CZA and then.
Well, if we accept the rezone, they have to accept our recommendation. Not on a conditional use, but on the rezone, we have ultimate authority. The one thing we have authority.
Just that one thing.
And they told me they had no problem with that, given the nature of the other city
Sure.
area. That's what Kate and Darren said.
What was that, Rich? Did you have something else, Rich?
No,
Oh, okay. Okay. Any other discussion real quick amongst commissioners?
So specifically, if we table it till the next meeting, what specifically are we gonna do between now and then?
So you tell me if I'm not hearing you right, Ben, but I would just reach out to the county and say, we have a rezone that's going to affect the 2050 plan. I think is more procedural is your concern, and
Yeah, I wouldn't wanna take action
and then like,
and
no,
then
you
find out
can't.
that that we're coming back for.
Sure.
Well, that just happened with the pumping station where we acted on a variance and then 2 months later came back for conditional use. It slows things down. So I'd
Sure.
rather wait 2 weeks.
Understood.
Make sure we understand what the process is.
All right, at this point then, I would open it up to the audience. Would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of the proposal? If you could come,
Well, I can do it from here.
Do it from there. If you could give your name and address for the
Okay,
record.
John Becker, W1958 Castine Lane. The three of us represent the management district
Mhm.
on the board. So if you have any questions, since we own the back portion and the front portion, if you have any questions, you can ask them.
My only question, and as he was presenting, is I saw you sitting there, and this is what I was waiting for you to say, hey, we love it, we hate it. He's a terrible neighbor, he's a great neighbor. That's the feedback. Like you're the neighbor really that's here representing yourself. I mean, what are your thoughts on it as management?
I think it's fair to say it's presented, looks good.
Sure. Okay.
But we don't know any more than that. So.
Understood, but I mean, in general, all we're talking about tonight is B3 versus R1.
Yeah, and we will protect the lakefront. In fact, we're probably
It's-
stronger than that.
It's your property.
Yeah, but we want to, it's important to address it correctly.
And I mean, and to that vein, people going across the street to Double D's would be a lot more onerous than a single family home. So again, I was real curious to hear what you guys had to say because
We got to be cautious. We don't know all the details.
Understood. You're not gonna praise. Yes, this is awesome. Cautiously optimistic, we'll say.
So,
We probably will miss the hamburgers.
so the lease, excuse me, the lease to the lakefront came with the purchase of the property? And just some terms of the lease need to be adjusted is what I thought I heard.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've talked with Pat Bergen and we haven't, because there hasn't been a rezone. I've raised the issue sort of generally to say, look, there's no reason to have, the current lease allows gasoline to be sold there. The current lease allows mooring of boats during the business hours. And I would, my view of it is, and the management district said submit to us and we'll talk with you about it when that time comes. But my view of it is that all those things that are commercial should just get taken out of
Yeah. And then it becomes residential
We would
use.
entertain modifying the lease.
And the lease expires.
I was gonna say, maybe
34
extend the
years,
lease.
33 years, something.
88 years.
Well, oh, okay. I thought it was shorter.
No, it's a 99-year lease with like 88 years left.
So we better get going.
Clock's ticking. All right, would anybody else, are you guys done? I don't want to cut you off.
I agree with Jen.
Okay. Would anybody else in the audience like to speak in favor or against the proposal? Okay, thank you. I'll just get some clarification for our next meeting on how we have to deal with the 2050 plan on this one.
You may want to make sure that you clarify things in time plan so that he can go to the town and to the town board, because there's windows there. And just a few days get through it, a month off.
Understood. We're just not prepared to act on it tonight. So, all right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is number 4. We're going back to a conditional use amendment, M9080 County Highway ES, parcel number PET 1000008A. SRE Properties. Assume that's you.
Hi there.
If you could just give us a real quick synopsis, I think we all kind of know why you're here, but
So SBA, with whom I represent, owns the tower. It's about 40 by 70 compound, and Verizon is looking to co-locate, bring new service to that tower. The requirements for the coverage include an extension to the tower. I believe it's 25 years.
25.
Thank you.
So is Verizon not on that tower at the moment?
Correct, they are not.
The other carriers are.
Yes, 2 other carriers, I believe, are on there currently.
so obviously you're just here to modify your conditional use to go tall.
Correct. In addition to the Verizon installation, but. yeah,
The equipment on there, we have to give our blessing to as well.
Right, that's a separate building permit. Jen's been dealing with me quite a lot.
Sure.
A lot of questions.
I'm somewhat familiar with what she's going through. Does anybody on the board have any questions for the applicant?
So
Go ahead.
it seems pretty straightforward. The tower is remaining and it's being extended 25 feet.
Correct.
And you've demonstrated that there's no issues with the airport or the FAA.
Correct. We've spoken with the Airport Advisory Board and county zoning as well. They, as long as, I believe their statement was something to the effect of as long as the township has a process, then the county would not be involved.
And we've had some discussions. I was kind of like, why does it even have to come? It's not getting any bigger. Yes, it's getting taller. But we've had one of these before where the tower wasn't even getting taller. They were putting extra equipment around the same tower. They still have to come to us. So
Yeah.
a little bit of an I dotting, T crossing. It's getting taller. And of course, the first thing I think of is the airport. But we're not. The FAA, they have to go through their own separate, make sure it's lit, make sure it's all the other regulations they have to go through.
And then it'll be addressed structurally through the building permit process?
Correct. We have a passing structural currently with the extension included, and Verizon's loading included.
You don't have to beef it up. It'll handle it.
The existing structure will support the extension without
Interesting.
modification, correct?
And when would this work take place? Because I'm a Verizon customer.
Same,
As soon as we
same, would like better coverage.
I
was thinking the same
I'm
thing.
not, thumbs down.
I
to
got,
the
I
proposal.
gotta be honest, I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah. It's definitely a coverage hole for Verizon, as I understand, so it's a high priority for them. They have certain criteria that they want to meet for the customers, and it's a hole for them currently.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Quick discussion amongst commissioners. Again, my feeling is it's a I dotting, T crossing. I've already said my piece. I would open it up to the audience. Would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of the proposal? Would anybody like to speak against the proposal? This is something I take a motion on.
Motion to approve the conditional use for PET 1000008A as presented.
We have a motion to approve the conditional use amendment. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion to adjourn.
If there's no other public comments or business amongst commissioners, I would entertain that motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
How was traveling?
They were pretty good.